All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is, without a doubt, one of the most influential speeches in all of human history, the Sermon on the Mount. You know, for thousands of years, these words have rattled kingdoms and lifted up ordinary people. So, what's it all about? Why does it still pack such a punch today? Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We've got 5 main parts. First, just how revolutionary was this thing? Then, what kind of person is it actually describing? We'll look at how it totally flips the script on the law, what it says about why we do what we do, and finally, that make-or-break choice it leaves everyone with.
All right, Section 1, a revolutionary sermon. We really have to set the scene here, because this wasn't some quiet lecture in a stuffy room. No, this was a massive, outdoor event.
So you have to imagine this. Jesus' fame for his teaching and healing, it's spreading like wildfire. Huge crowds are just following him everywhere he goes. So what does he do? He heads up a mountain, which basically acts like a natural amphitheater, and he starts to teach. And that right there, the setting itself, it's a huge statement. It's like saying, this is a new message, and it's being delivered from a totally new stage.
And this right here is what immediately floored everybody. You see, the religious experts of the time, the scribes, they always backed up their points by quoting other famous rabbis. It was all about so-and-so said this. But Jesus, he does the complete opposite. He keeps saying things like, you've heard it said, but I say to you. He's not just explaining the law, he's speaking as if he is the law. For that crowd, this was absolutely unheard of. It was a completely different kind of authority.
So the big question is, what's the message that comes with this new authority? And what's so fascinating is that the sermon doesn't kick off with a list of rules and regulations. Nope, it starts by painting a picture of a type of person, a portrait of the kind of citizen that belongs to this new kingdom of heaven he's talking about.
And these are the famous Beatitudes, and let me tell you, they are a completely upside-down way of looking at the world. I mean, think about it. Our world celebrates the powerful, the rich, the proud, right? But this sermon says the ones who are truly blessed are the humble, the merciful, the peacemakers, even those who are getting grief for doing the right thing. It's a radical redefinition of what it even means to be successful. But, and this is key, this isn't about being a passive doormat. Right after this, he calls these same people the salt of the earth and the light of the world. The idea is that this seemingly quiet character is actually supposed to have a massive world-changing impact.
Okay, moving on. From here, the sermon takes a turn and gets deeply personal. It basically argues that it's not enough to just check the boxes and follow the rules on the outside. No, the real standard is what's going on inside, in your heart. And this is a perfect example of what that looks like. The old law, of course, says you shall not murder. Pretty straightforward. But this new teaching goes right to the source code of the issue. It says that if you're holding on to that deep, corrosive anger against someone, well, you're already on the hook. The focus is no longer just on the final terrible act, but on the inner state of heart that even allows that seed to be planted.
We see the exact same logic applied to adultery. The law obviously forbids the physical act, but again, the sermon pushes deeper, all the way to our thoughts and intentions. It makes the argument that the moment you look at someone and reduce them to just an object for your own gratification, you've already crossed a line in your heart. It's a really radical call for inner purity, not just, a clean criminal record.
Now this one. This might be the most famous and, frankly, shocking teaching in the whole sermon. The old idea of an eye for an eye was actually meant to limit retaliation, to stop revenge from spiraling out of control. But this new teaching, it just throws out personal revenge entirely. And this command to turn the other cheek, it isn't about being a pushover. It's a powerful, conscious decision to break the cycle of tit-for-tat violence, to go even further and actually love your enemies. I mean, this goes against every single one of our gut instincts for self-defense and getting even.
So you can see the thread here, right? If your inner intention is what really counts, then it makes sense that the sermon now pivots to talk about why we do the good things we do. Our motivation itself is put under the microscope.
And here it lays out 2 very different paths for religious practices, like giving, praying, or fasting. Path 1 is the hypocrite's way. You do all your good deeds out on the street corners, making a big show of it so everyone can see how pious you are. And the sermon says, great, you got what you wanted, the applause from people. That's your reward. Path 2 is the secret way. You do those same things, but in private, where the only audience is God. Your motive is pure. The point is crystal clear. Why you do a thing is way more important than what you do.
And this quote, man, it just cuts right through all the noise. It draws a line in the sand. You have to choose who or what you're going to serve. You can't serve both God and money. It's impossible. And then it gives this profound insight. Whatever you treasure most, whatever you pour your energy and focus into, that's where your heart is. It's not even a future choice. It's a present reality. You have to pick a side.
And all of this builds to the sermon's big conclusion. It all wraps up with one simple, unforgettable story. A parable that makes it absolutely impossible to just be a passive listener. And here it is, the story of the two builders. It's so simple but so powerful. You've got two people. Both of them hear these exact same words. It's not a test of who understood more or who agreed more. The only thing that separates them is action. The wise builder hears the words and puts them into practice. He builds his life on solid rock, and when the storms come, he's unshaken. The foolish builder? He hears the words, maybe even nods along, but then does nothing. He builds on sand, and when the storm hits, it's a total disaster. The final message could not be clearer. Hearing these words is just the start. The real test is what you build with them.
So, where does that leave us? With a call to a kind of internal perfection, to love our enemies, to have a pure heart. And let's be honest, that standard feels impossibly high, doesn't it? Which brings us to the final, lingering question. What is the value of striving for a goal that seems completely out of reach? What's the point of a moral vision so perfect we know we'll never fully get there? That's the challenge the sermon left its first audience with, and it's a question that still echoes for us today. Thanks for joining this explainer.